All right, here we go. It's the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. This is our first podcast we're going to put on Riverside, which is a software that brings you this face, brings you this audio. So you got the two-in-one surprise today. So hopefully, if you're not listening through audio, maybe we'll put this on YouTube and you can see the live action, how this podcast goes down, and you can see the high-end technology in use, such as this lovely notepad. No AI required here, but recording all the notes on a Super Bowl weekend. It's finally here. The big day, the big match, the big game. It's the end of season for you bettors out there, and we start all over again. We got to hang in there. When it comes to betting baseball, hockey, NCAA March Madness, all this stuff, NBA, MMA. MMA, by the way, tonight you got UFC 312. I think it's 312 Strickland versus the Prius, and that's live from Australia, but it does come on at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. But this is NFL. This is Super Bowl. This is the big one, and here we are to break it down and tell you what we like. I'm gonna tell you it's all over the place. If you haven't bet a Super Bowl before, it is unlimited as far as options to place your dollars down on. I'm going to give you a few options. I'm going to give you things that I just like. I don't even know if I'll take, but it's like a kid in the candy shop. It's wild when you go through each of these sports books, but we're going to focus more on FanDuel, a little bit on Bet365, those sons of bitches who actually have not allowed me back onto their platform. I've talked about it in previous episodes. By the way, you can follow the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast on X. Yes, that's Elon's X at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2. I want you to join us, join the forum. And what you're going to get in this podcast, if you haven't joined us before, it's a square point of view on betting. Let's be realistic. There's a million podcasts out there that I listen to where you got guys breaking down stats, doing analytics, and they do this for a living. They find an edge, and that's the way to do it if you want to kind of do this as your main source of income. Guess what? It's not my main source of income. It's something I've done for a long time. I'll admit I'm flawed as a bettor, but I like talking betting. I love talking sports, and that's why this podcast exists for you square bettors out there just like me. Join the ride, join the Overrated Experience, and give out the X page or link, whatever. Now I need you to join and make this thing grow. So we got another Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, and Saquon Barkley. Same matchup 2 years ago, minus Saquon. Chiefs took that one. Will they take this one? Be the first ever three-peat champions. Patty Mahomes wins. He's in rare company for a Super Bowl quarterback to have 4 rings. Guess who else? Yeah, Tommy B. He's got 7 of them. And then you got Terry Bradshaw, for you kids out there, Pittsburgh Steelers, along with his coach, Chuck Noll, Billy Belichick, the man with a 24-year-old girlfriend. Can you believe it? This guy is all over the place. He's on fire. Bill Belichick. And, we'll kick it off. Josh Allen named NFL MVP, quite a surprise. Not really a surprise, but it sounded like or felt like Lamar Jackson had pulled away and became, probably the odds-on favorite to win that award. But Josh Allen, you can't complain. He had a great season, carried the Buffalo Bills. Potentially, one fuck-up by Dalton Kincaid in that last play of the game. Should have been caught. Wasn't. And now Josh Allen is sitting with an MVP, which I'm sure he's happy with. Well, Patty Mahomes is playing for another ring, which I don't think he gives a fuck about the MVP award. Let's be honest. He's going for rings, and he's going for the face on Mount Rushmore as one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and he's probably already there. Other things you want to prep for. Super Bowl party prep. Okay? I've talked about this in years past. If you have selected to go to a bar, you need to get there early. Or you need to work out a plan with the bar owner or staff that they're going to corner off and save seats for you because it's going to be rammed. It's going to be packed. And if you got 10, 15, 20 people coming to watch the Super Bowl, you better make sure there's space. Plus, you don't want to spend hours just trying to save a seat, man. It's a pain in the ass. right? So do your planning if you haven't already. Pick up that phone now and call that bar. Make sure that that seat or those seats are available and they're saved. Now, some of the things to entertain and spice up the evening when it comes to Super Bowl, partying. Well, I mean, it's up to you, but if you're the host, you gotta take one for the team, like I do, and you gotta make the. Have you ever heard of squares? I mean, I'd recommend. It's pretty fun. Squares basically is you have 100 squares. You sell these squares. Not saying to sell for profit. You're going to split the findings. So, for example, there's 100 squares. Let's say it's $5 a pop. You're looking to collect $500. If you don't feel that you can collect $500, you either are going to have to pay for it out of your own pocket to cover the majority of the board, or you're going to have to reduce that cost down to maybe $2 a square to ensure by the time kickoff happens that you have filled out all 100 squares. And the concept, if you don't know, which you should, I've got a feeling you would if you're listening to this podcast, is that once all the squares are filled out, you then pull numbers 0 to 9. You pull 0 to 9 on the left-hand side, where let's say you put in the Eagles. You randomly draw, so it could be 4, 7, 2, 1, 0, all the way down side of the board. And then at the top, where it says Kansas City, you're going to do the same draw, random draw, where the numbers are going to go out across the top in no particular order because it's a random draw. It could be 0, 7, 2, 4, whatever you think it is. And the concept would be that after the end of each quarter, the score, the last number in the score from each team, so let's say it's 7-0 Chiefs, you go to the top and find the 7, you go to the side and find the 0, and kind of see where they interact, intercede, and that person who holds that square wins that portion of the money and wins that quarter. Now, if it was $500, you might say every quarter is $100, with the exception of the winning score being $200. Now, you have to decide, what are you going to do if the game goes in overtime? You have to make it clear right off the bat. The rules are that overtime counts. Just because you had the right score in the fourth quarter doesn't mean you win. We're talking fourth quarter, it also includes overtime. Make that very clear. When people are 15 Budweisers in, they might get a little testy if you start trying to hash this out, in the middle of the fourth quarter where people are slurring their words and, just a little all over themselves. So make sure you clarify that right off the bat. Also, another piece of advice I would say before I lose my voice is to sit down tonight, tomorrow morning, set Alexa to wake you up, get that coffee going, maybe get that splash some water in your face, and make a decision what direction you're going to take with your bets. I'm telling you, especially if you're the host and you're going to show up at the establishment, you're on your phone, you're going to get distracted, and you're going to be pissed. You're going to be pissed because you missed the opportunity to place those bets well ahead of time, and you're going to feel rushed, and your experience is not going to be what it is. So I would suggest making a plan beforehand to get the majority of the bets you like in before all hell breaks loose on Super Bowl Sunday, and wings are flying, beers flying, pictures, handshakes, stories are being told, anthems are happening. It's chaos, right? Even though we're not actually at the goddamn game, it's chaos. So make sure you prep early and prep efficiently. So that's what I got to say about that. Now, I was also looking at, took a scan of some of the other books. So right now, I'm going to go predominantly through FanDuel, as I mentioned. Talked about Bet365 a little, the sons of bitches. But I recommend keeping an eye on the DraftKings, the MGMs, the score bets, whatever. So there's a lot of options out there. I have not been impressed, per se, with what I've seen so far on some of the offers if you signed up for a first-time bettor. Not like they were in the past in the day, man. When this thing kicked off publicly, there was tons and tons of desperation by these books to get you in the door and get them on your platform. I still don't understand why that isn't the case. I know there's scammers out there that kind of try to rotate through these new offers, but a lot of folks, especially during Super Bowl time, are betting for the first time. Now's the time to capture that audience. So I'll tell you this. What at least appeals to me in FanDuel, there was a hiccup a little bit a couple weeks ago I mentioned. I was on their VIP list. Wow, VIP. VIP. Wow, special. And what came along with that was little perks. I'm not talking about me flown anywhere. I'm talking about, deposit bonus, 20%, 25%, 30%, whatever it is on your bonus and on your deposit and, top you up. It's getting a little sneaky now because now it's turning into a bonus bet, which is a little different. It's not money in the pocket. But, FanDuel's done a decent job on providing me offers that appeal to me. Now, for some reason, after 2 weeks ago when I inquired about my deposit and looking for a deposit bonus and being told that I was exited by SIA off the VIP list for no reason, zero reason, I have no idea. Then I'm back on. I'm in. I'm back in somehow. I have turned the corner. I have met their demands some way, somehow. I've got up to the level where I need to be as a human being to qualify for this VIP status once again on FanDuel. Welcome me back with open arms, embracing, big hug, and I'm back. And right now I'm sitting on a deposit bonus that I got to execute before tomorrow's games. And it really did keep my eyes focused on using FanDuel versus spreading out the love to some of these other sports books that may want to embrace me. But right now it's going to be a predominantly FanDuel kind of day. I would encourage you to look around, shop around, get your best offer, but read the fine print. If you sign an offer that's going to give you $200, watch and listen and read how many times you may have to turn that over. Meaning you might have to do, you deposit $1,000 and maybe they give you a $200 bonus, 20% bonus. But the stipulation you have to, turn that $1,200 over 10 times. Something like that. Keep an eye on the asterisk, keep an eye on the bonus, because they've caught on. They're not going to make you deposit and then suddenly you're going to be able to cash out. Please pay attention to the fine print. Now that you're prepped, now that you're ready to go to the Super Bowl, what do you think? Where are we at on this? I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs going for a three-peat have never been done. Does it put Patty Mahomes as the man? Is he the top guy? Well, all you Brady fans out there are going to be throwing stuff at the screen here because you're going to be, a little pissed off and maybe a little, I'm a Brady fan myself, right? And I'm not pulling any punches. He's the best. He's the man. He's got 7 Super Bowl rings, 10 Super Bowl appearances, has done it in 2 different uniforms. And sometimes, the fans of one side start to feel insecure about the legacy of the legend, the myth that is Tom Brady. And then a guy like Patrick Mahomes comes along, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 rings, maybe the first guy ever to win 4 Super Bowls, with 3 being back-to-back-to-back. You can't deny that he's a legend. I will still argue that Brady's the man, the GOAT, but I couldn't put up a big fight if your opinion was the other way around, that Patty Mahomes may be the guy, especially if he wins tomorrow's matchup. I don't know. What's impressive is that Chiefs team, after the first Super Bowl, was kind of not dismantled, but the Tyreek Hills of the world were exited. They didn't want to pay him. He moves on to Miami, and that left an explosive tool out of Patty Mahomes' pocket. They found a way to win 2 more Super Bowls with less firepower, but just found a way to win. And how many times have you bet against Patty Mahomes? How many times in a Super Bowl? What's it, 3 straight times right now that he, outside of the loss to Tampa Bay, has been down at halftime and plus money going to the second half? Can you, guys, let's remember, this is what has happened. The Kansas City Chiefs have been trailing at half and come out at plus money heading into the second half. And guess who makes you money? Patty Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid. You can't ignore it. There's value there to keep paying attention to it. Are the Eagles going to do something different? I don't know. They've kind of backdoored their way into the Super Bowl. Yeah, they have backdoored their way into the Super Bowl. You telling me that they were dominant against the Rams? I don't think so. Did the score look dominant against Commanders? Yeah. What was there, 3 huge turnovers? Three dumbasses fumble for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, take any opportunity for your young superstar quarterback to lead you to a Super Bowl because three jackasses can't hold a fucking football. That's what happened. That's the reality. And if you watch the game, and that's why you do watch the game, that the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, have backed their way into the Super Bowl. But what they do have, which is different, is they have a game breaker in Saquon Barkley. Pound for pound, position for position. Might have the most depth, most dominant, defense. May give Mahomes problems. All right. Also, Jalen Hurts. He actually, if you watched at the end of the Commanders game, he looked loose. He looked comfortable throwing the ball. And I haven't seen that all year. All year, that Jalen Hurts was a passing threat for the Philadelphia Eagles. That did turn around in the second half of that Washington Commanders game. He felt comfortable. He felt like he was going to be the man throwing the ball. And is that going to apply 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl? It just might. Jalen Hurts had a huge game. I don't have the stats in front of me at the moment, but he could have been NFL Super Bowl MVP over Pat Mahomes outside of that fumble that kind of cost the Eagles that Super Bowl. So there's hope. A lot of people are putting their money on. A lot of folks in Vegas are putting money on the Eagles, big time money. But do you bet against Patrick Mahomes? But the great thing about Super Bowl is that you can sit there, make some coin, enjoy your time, and not have any money on the outcome of the game, but things that are happening in the game with the various props. Props all over the place. And I'll tell you, I'm going to go through a lot of props in this podcast. I'm definitely going to go through who I think is going to be the best bet to win this game, the over-under, comment there. I'm not going to spend too much time on the halftime, the anthem bets, but they're there. All right, you want to bet how long the national anthem is going to be? How long the note to Home of the Brave is going to be? That's up to you, but that doesn't float my boat in any way. And remember, there are folks out there that may have some additional inside knowledge that are watching, or at least have contacts that are watching the rehearsals of both the anthem and the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar. You tell me the bets out there for Kendrick Lamar to have what his first song's going to be, who he's going to bring with him, that somebody doesn't have inside information that you don't have, that has an edge that you don't have, that will make money that you won't. There is. That's the reality of it. So just keep that in mind. But a lot to go through here. A lot of action. Like you could just go bankrupt, or it's insane. It's insane the number of bets you can bet. Again, we're going to predominantly use FanDuel with a couple comments from Bet365's fuckers. And we're going to go through some of this stuff here, and we're going to kick it off with the traditional bets. Traditional T, the old T, the traditional. That's Philadelphia, Kansas City. Kansas City's pretty much held strong as a 1.5 favorite on most books. I'm sure you can find 1s and 2s somewhere else. But from the FanDuel perspective, you have a 1.5. And you also have the over-under is 48.5. And then your money line. Money line actually is minus 112, Kansas City. Minus 104, Philadelphia, despite being an underdog. I'd really feel better if it was plus money, if I was going to chase the underdog in Philadelphia. When I look at this game, I feel 51% confident that I would take Kansas City. I mean, we're looking at $1.50, like a 1.5, and thinking, does that make a difference? Yeah, it might. It might, right? It just might. Because if you look at, let's say Philadelphia is traveling down the field, fourth quarter, down a touchdown, minute 40 left. They got the tush push, getting the touchdown, and thinking, do I let Patty Mahomes go back down and beat me? Take it to overtime, or beat me with a field goal, which you won if you took the 1.5, or chance going to overtime. There's potentially a decision to go for 2, right? They got the tush push, 2 yards. It's not necessarily when they use it all the time, but the tush push could be effective, and potentially that's what they could do. A lot of things could happen there, but I'm still going to stick with the Kansas City Chiefs at a 1.5. And goddamn it, keep an eye out. I forgot to look at this one because I was thinking of this all day. Just talked about the three Super Bowls where Patty Mahomes has come back in the second half. I'm thinking, what's the Eagles line in the first half, right? What do I have them winning in the first half? Because if I go by the trend, the Super Bowl trend, it's a good chance that the first half might be going to the Eagles. Where's the first half? Come on, boys, let's go first half. So much shit here that it's harder to sort through. Man, I wish I had that. I forgot about that. I kind of went past that. First line, look at the first half. Plus money potentially for the Eagles to be on top, just like every other Super Bowl. But from Kansas City's perspective, hey, could they lose? But I'm not going to lose betting against Patty Mahomes. I don't know that a lot of people are going to say that, and I'm going to be one of them. 48.5. Fuck. It's called the Overrated Experience for a reason. I don't like unders. That's stupid. That's a square point of view, and that's why I call this podcast a square kind of podcast. It's not your sharps. It's not your, going to stick to the analytics and stick to what is the right decision to make versus betting with my heart. Everything's pointing to this game to go under, right? There was an explosion of offense last time they met in the Super Bowl. And then you're thinking now, wow, man, the Eagles have long, sustained drives. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. The clock's going to keep moving. It's tough to say. It's tough to argue that that's the wrong way to play it. But I'll tell you right now, as an overrated experience podcast performer, host, that I'm going to go with the over. I can't sit there drinking my pitchers of beer, feeling good, getting those hot wings. What kind of hot wings would you get? Would you get hot wings, sweet chili hot, suicide? Too old for suicide now. It burns going in, burns going out. I'm going to have to stick to the over. 48.5. It's juicy for the under. It's not how I ride. It's not how I'm going to ride. It's not how I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down swinging. And this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing choosing the over. And then we got the absolute money line. I don't really care about the money. I'm going to say with the Chiefs, right? Minus 112. Right? So take the Chiefs, money line. It's a Chiefs kind of day. But watch that first half. Maybe the Eagles have value. But now we get into the juicy part, and that is the props. Man, this is where you want to be. This is the significant part about Super Bowl betting that is unique. You're going to find so many props, so many additional options. I'm not necessarily going to jump into the what you see on some of the FanDuels and Bet365, which is you can combine sports. So you can talk about how many, I don't know, let's say receiving yards that A.J. Brown gets versus Giannis for the Milwaukee Bucks has points, rebounds, and assists in tomorrow's NBA action. Not that guy. I mean, there's also wild. It's wild. If you look at FanDuel, they have next generation stats. So you could talk about the fastest guy. Like you have like the Worthies of the world and the Hurts of the world, where when they have the ball, you can choose over under 18.5 miles per hour. How the hell are we measuring this? And how the hell are you going to bet that? I'm sure there's a good market out there for it, but we're not going to talk about that. It's probably beyond what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, but we'll see what happens on that. But next generation stats are wild, different, and unique, and it wasn't a part of my Bowman's betting back in the day when I'm calling England to put in a wager on that Tuesday night hockey game. So things have gotten haywire, fun, and try to find an edge any way you can. Maybe that is next gen stats. I don't know. But Super Bowl props and going down a list, not any particular order per se. All right. And a lot of this is value. I'm not saying, I'm going to say a couple like I really, really like. But these ones, so I'll probably take a few nickels on some of these. But, give them to you. You doing what you want and not promoting anything other than good time. All right. Good times. All right, so let's go down the list. Any quarterback to have a scoring, receiving touchdown. So, we had Nick Foles back in the day with the touchdown catch, plus 7,000. Do you envision a Jalen Hurts or a Patty Mahomes on the receiving end of a touchdown at plus 7,000? With 2 weeks to prepare, there is a chance that you might see out-of-the-box plays, and that may include quarterbacks. So there's some value here. You can't tell me that Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia offense is not thinking that, all eyes are on Saquon Barkley in the backfield, and let me roll out, that whole let Saquon take a throw to Jalen Hurts in the corner of the end zone. Come on. The Philly special, that could happen. What about Travis Kelce throwing to Patty Mahomes? Why can't that happen? For plus 7,000, you put a couple dollars on there. Why not? Something fun to watch out for. So there's one very tough one, good value, but if you got stones, if you got balls, if you got the courage, you don't have that yellow streak down your back, you're going to take it. Any non-quarterback to throw for a touchdown, plus 1,700. So I just talked about that very scenario, Saquon throwing, or Travis Kelce throwing for a touchdown. That could possibly happen. We've seen it in the Super Bowl last year where I can't remember who it was, but it was a non-quarterback that made the throw for a touchdown for the 49ers. We'll come back to something similar, which I think is the bet of the day, like the value bet of tomorrow. So Patty Mahomes, MVP race here. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, pencil in as MVP. Right? He's now at plus 120. Kansas City wins. You got to think, do they got a run game? Probably not. Pacheco, it's not happening. So if something's going to happen offensively, it's going to all funnel through Patrick Mahomes, and it's hard to not see him become the MVP if they win the Super Bowl. Although, there's a chance that I got this written down. Where's my pad of paper here? Okay. All right, here we go. Here's the kind of off the board. People think I'm crazy for finding this valuable, and it may happen. The MVP to come from the losing team. Picture it. Saquon Barkley runs for 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, receives, 35, 40 yards receiving, makes a couple key blocks, but they lose by a field goal, 38-35, whatever it may be. I got to believe the voters are looking at, all right, Patty Mahomes has got his MVPs. I can't ignore Saquon's performance. He's the offensive player. He's offensive. Got the offensive player of the year. I got to believe he's in the minds of a lot of voters out there that would be more really inclined to award him with the MVP despite losing if he puts up some big numbers. The guy, he stands out individually, right? Maybe Patty Mahomes only has 240 yards in the air. Maybe he has 2 passing touchdowns, and the Chiefs have 3 passing touchdowns, but he also has a pick. So maybe Saquon's numbers scream that I'm the MVP regardless of the loss. That's a plus $4,500. $10 is going to give you $450 back. $10. Do the math. Get the calculator out. Use that AI. Figure it out for you. It's pretty valuable. You tell me that can't happen? Why not? Is it because it's Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, maybe. But I'm going to tell you that I think there's value there. All right, so as we go on here, Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. Come on, guys, minus 115. Tush push. They're not going to do anything else on the 1-yard line but the tush push. And guess who has the ball? Jalen Hurts. He's going to walk into the end zone. All right? If they are 2nd and 1, the tush push is coming 3 times. 3 times. Until they get in there. So I like that a lot. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. All right? Defensive / special teams touchdown, plus 330. You tell me you can't envision a pick 6? All right? Maybe you can envision more of a punt return for a touchdown. There's got to be a big moment in the Super Bowl, and why can't it come on the defensive side or the special teams? All right? Maybe a fumble, player picks it up in the end zone, touchdown. A lot can happen, and there's a plus 330. There's good value there, right? Will there be a 2-point conversion? Yes. Why can't there be? I mean, the NFL nowadays is more and more likely that there's multiple attempts in a game, and the odds go up that they're going to get it. Okay? And think about it. They missed that first one. They're now down 7-6, let's say. They're going to try to do it again because they got to make up that point. So I think the odds are really good at minus 104, that a 2-point conversion. Why not? You got to go for it. You watch every Sunday. 2-point conversions are normal. They're normal. Longest touchdown over 34.5 yards, minus 112. Envision it. Picture in your head. Picture in your mind. That Xavier Worthy, a little rollout in the flats, takes off, breaks 34 yards. 35. 35 yards, not 34 because that fucked me. Over 34.5 yards. It can happen. Saquon, you seen it last 2 weeks ago against the Commanders, broke it open, 60-plus yard touchdown. It's going to happen. Longest touchdown over 34.5. There is going to be some big plays in this game. Total fourth down conversions over 2.5. So this one kind of was. I'm thinking about this, right? 2-point the fourth down conversions. There's got to at least be one tush push, right? One tush push on a fourth down. There's got to be at least one scenario where, a team is on the other team's 39-yard line or something like that, and it's, 4th and 2. They got to go for it, right? Or late in the game where you cannot give the ball back, they got to go for it. So I got to believe there's going to be 4 or 5 fourth down attempts. But with that tush push, you chalk up at least one first down on a fourth to the tush push, okay? So 2.5 to me is very doable. Very doable. Minus 110. I like it. I like it a lot. Total yards for touchdowns over 75.5, minus 110. What that means is that all the touchdowns scored in that game, was it a 15-yard run, added to the 25-yard passing touchdown, added to the, the 30-yard rushing touchdown by Saquon Barkley? I'm going to say yeah, because I think there's going to be a couple big plays that will eat up a lot of yardages right away. And 75.5 is very doable. Let's do it. Total number of players to have. Oh, okay, this is the one. This is it. Write it down. Write this one down. Take the pen. See a pen here? That's how it works, you kids out there that don't use pens anymore. This blue pen, write this down. And we talked about it earlier, the likelihood being high. Total number of players to... can't read my own writing. God, I must be a doctor. Make a pass attempt. Over 2.5. So you got Jalen Hurts is going to make a pass attempt. Patty Mahomes is going to make a pass attempt. There's going to be somebody else that's going to make a pass attempt in the Super Bowl, and it's at plus 152. 2 weeks to prepare, both teams. There's going to be some creative plays that are going to happen. They're going to take chances out of the box thinking. Somebody is going to look like they're running wide, and then they step up to throw. It's going to happen, and this is a pass attempt. We're not talking a passing touchdown. We're not talking a passing touchdown to a quarterback. We're talking about just an attempt. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I love this bet. Plus 152. What about if Jalen Hurts has to leave and Kenny Pickett comes in? There you go. You get now a third person. So I like that one. Take that one to the bank. Well, I don't know what you do when you get to the bank, but you know what I mean. A few others here that we're going to talk about. Sacks. I don't know. Sacks. Why not? Look, 5.5 plus 116. Patty Mahomes has, not recently, but he's gotten sacked 1 or 2 times. But earlier in the year, he's had up to 4 or 5 sacks. That offensive line is not unstoppable. And you got to look at the Eagles' defensive line. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator, is going to bring the heat, going to bring pressure, is going to bring something. He's going to exploit a weakness. I got to see Patty Mahomes going to be sacked at least 3 times, if not 4. And then Philadelphia is usually good for 2. Jalen Hurts gets crossed up with the pass run option, and he goes down. So 6 or more. I mean, you could probably get up to 7 on this one. And then you get late in the game in a Super Bowl where you got to throw the ball downfield. Let's chalk up 1 or 2 sacks just for that. So over 5.5 sacks, I like it a lot. Total sacks by the Philadelphia Eagles over 2.5. Plus 138. Value. Value. They're going to bring something that the Kansas City Chiefs don't see. They're going to shut down the run of the Chiefs. And they're going to put pressure on Patty Mahomes. And yes, he's going to make big plays. Yes, he's going to run for yards. But he's going to get taken down. I'm going to say minimum 4 times. 4 sacks on Patty Mahomes. Count it here. Write it down. Break out that pen, that invention. Write it down. At least 4 sacks for sure. Longest field goal over 47.5 yards. Buckner can hit it from Kansas City. Miles. Not yards. Miles. And this guy's clutch in the playoffs, and he's going to be kicking. By the end of the half, you got to believe both kickers. Elliott, I'm not so sold on Elliott being that guy that's going to come through in the clutch. You know, can he hit a 50-yarder? Absolutely. But do I bank on him? No. But this is more about the Buckner, especially late in the first half where Kansas City gets in the field goal range and decides to jack one up from 60 yards. So longest field goal made, absolutely over 47.5 yards. Indoors. It's in a dome. There's no weather. There's no wind. There's no rain. No mud. Now, Kansas City punter Matt Arizia, he's got a cannon for a leg, and his longest punt is listed as 55.5, and I like the over here. It's got to be at least one time where the Eagles defense comes up big and kind of pin the Kansas City Chiefs within their own 20, 25, where he's like Ariza is going to jack one up 60 yards, 70 yards. So he's got a huge leg. So I think that's going to happen. Now going to Bet365, a couple bets here that involve punting. Any punt is ends up in a result for a touchback plus 120. So meaning I punt the ball and the receiving punt returner whiz it off. He's gonna run it out of the way. The ball's gonna bounce, and it bounces into the end zone to bring it out to the 20. That's not gonna happen at least once in this game. Not once. Horse shit. It's gonna happen at least once, maybe twice. Plus 120. I like it. But it's on Bet365. I can't bet it. So I don't think I've seen this on FanDuel. I'm not happy about it. Kind of pisses me off. But for you out there, because I like you, and you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to give you a freebie right there. Absolute freebie. Plus 120, any punt for a touchdown. Both teams. Could be both teams. Sorry, I got to check the NHL scores. Flyers score. Leafs don't score. You sons of bitches. Come on, Ottawa, Florida. Somebody scored there, you bastards. Anyway, looking at some other ones on Bet365. Any score on the last play of the game. Plus 850. Think about that. Think about it. Any score on the last play of the game. What happened last year? The game ended in overtime. Touchdown. Kansas City. Super Bowl champions. Last play of the game. Now, man, I really thought about this when I was going to go on this rant. Kansas City, Philadelphia. Wasn't it a last-minute field goal? Wasn't a last play field goal? I don't believe there was a kick return. I think that was it. Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. Last play of the game. You can't envision a winning field goal or a touchdown. What if it goes to overtime? There's got to be a last play that potentially doesn't mean it's not locked in. It's the last play because both teams get possession. But, the idea would be like the Kansas City win last year where the team marches down, gets a touchdown. Or each team had a possession and all it needs is a field goal to end the game. So that, to me, is value. Plus 850 that the game is going to end on a score. And that's it. Last play. And if I can read my writing here, what did I put in the little notepad? So I got 2 notepads, making notes everywhere. This is also on Bet365, 2-point attempt plus even money. There's actually better odds in Bet365 than I've seen on FanDuel. That's even money, so I thought that stood out with the odds being better. and plus 250 if a successful 2-point conversion. I talked about the amount of attempts we'll probably see. It's not abnormal to see a 2-point conversion attempt and to make just one of them plus 250. I like it. I like it. I like my odds on that one. 2 points. I like it a lot. And the last one I'm going to give you here is one of the more traditional props. And Jalen Hurts' passing yards. They're at 211.5, minus 110. Way too low. Way too low. And for you Kansas City bettors out there, you got to imagine that Jalen Hurts has to go to the air and find his weapons, A.J. Brown, find his weapons, Dallas Goedert, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why would we not think that the Jalen Hurts of the world, who I said and looked really comfortable in that last quarter and a half against the Commanders, I don't know if everybody's seen that. Like, there's something like he came out of a shell or something. You've seen the Jalen Hurts that got them to the Super Bowl originally, that when he was developing and growing as a quarterback in the NFL, really utilized his arm as a weapon along with his legs. Because right now he's been a little timid this year. It feels like, I got to get A.J. Brown the ball. I don't know if I can. I think I'll hand it off. Run pass off. Run. Or, I'll run out of bounds. I'll throw it away. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to throw it away. I just got to believe he's got to come out slinging. He's got to make his mark. Jalen Hurts, let's say it right now. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a monster game. Jalen Hurts has been quiet, but he's going to have a monster game. I think we're forgetting. When we look at the Philadelphia Eagle offense, we're thinking Saquon Barkley, and understandably so, but Jalen Hurts is going to make this offense go tomorrow. He's going to put his name back on the board, say, look, I'm the man. Saquon's a running back. I'm the quarterback. I'm the man. The offense runs through me. I dictate how well we move that ball down the field. I think Jalen Hurts has a career game tomorrow. He puts the Eagles on his back. All right? And I earlier said Kansas City, but you know what? I'm going to change my tune here. I'm going to roll with Jalen. I'm going to roll with Saquon. I'm pumped for the Eagles right now. I mean, we just went, 35 minutes almost in this conversation? I don't know, but 42 minutes. Sorry, 35. Can't even get the time right. Anyway, I don't know why. I had an epiphany there that Jalen Hurts, he's been kind of, brushed off to the background, but I think this time he takes all those weapons and he makes it sing. Jalen Hurts is going to be your MVP tomorrow. I'm going to leave you with that. The Overrated Experience has enjoyed the football season. We're going to come back, obviously, after football season, take a little look at some other sports. Got the World Four Nations Tournament. The NHL has got 4 countries playing over the next 2 weeks. Way better than an all-star game. We've been following the NBA, man. They're like, I don't know how you crunch the numbers in the NBA salary cap. How you make it work and figure it out. Every trade has to have 3 or 4 teams involved. And you're, at least one team you're figuring out what do they get? How do the Utah Jazz get involved into the Luka Doncic trade? No idea. How did Luka Doncic get traded? For Anthony Davis? The guy already got hurt today. He's out. Abdominal. Of course, you didn't see this coming. What are you doing? You basically in Dallas have people rioting, threatening their GM. Like, who made the call to say, yeah, good idea to trade Luka? Middle of the season. Look at one team, the Lakers, as a trade partner, instead of leaving it open to an auction where you get the best haul you can possibly have. Maybe the biggest sports blunder we've seen in a long time. Long time. And then some of these other trades, like I remember Marcus Smart. I think he went to the Wizards, but he was a big part in Boston for a lengthy period of time, and now he's just a throw-in? Brandon Ingram comes to Toronto? And I don't. If the Raptors can re-sign Brandon Ingram, okay, I get it. But if they can't, then what are we doing? What's the strategy here? NBA is very peculiar. I don't know. The math and the contracts, the supermaxes, the implications on 3 or 4 teams needing to be involved, and The draft picks are out of whack. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the best teams in the NBA, have ridiculous number of first round draft picks. And that's already on a team that's like number 2 in the NBA. So, a lot there. MMA tonight. You have Sean Strickland, Dupuis fighting in Australia. A lot to talk about March Madness. I mean, it's football is God, though. Football is what it's all about when it comes to the sports betting world. Miss it. But it's time to end it, right? You got to get our lives back, right? Some one way or another, because football has taken over. So, I mean, it's sorry to see it go, but it's almost like you got to let it go. I hate to see you go, but I got to let you go. Speaking of letting you go, pleasure's all been yours. Thank you for joining in the Overrated Experience Sports and Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blonin. The Overrated Experience is over and out. Bye-bye.